South Korea is hosting the annual meeting of the Asia Development Bank this week with thousands of participants, including finance and central bank chiefs. Now, the four-day event is the first face-to-face gathering since the COVID-19 pandemic. The ADB is calling on the so-called ASEAN +3 region, which includes China, Japan and South Korea, to adopt measures to enhance the attractiveness of the area as a destination for infrastructure investment. CNA's Lim Yun-suk reports from Incheon.
As Asian finance leaders gather in South Korea's Incheon city for the first time since the COVID-19 pandemic for the Asian Development Bank's annual meeting, ADB says one of the biggest challenges facing the region is the worsening impact of climate change. And that's why the ADB aims to set up a new finance program called EVCAP, the Innovative Finance Facility for Climate in Asia, to tackle climate change in the region, as more than 40% of climate-related disasters have happened in Asia and the Pacific since the year 2000.
This is why ADB is taking bold climate action. We aim to deliver $100 billion in climate finance to our developing member countries between 2019 and 2030. We will expand our investments in renewable energy options, and we will not invest in coal.
Apart from climate change, ASEAN member states, together with South Korea, China, and Japan, also agreed that ramping up infrastructure investment was crucial to address gaps in healthcare, education, digital, and social infrastructure exposed by the pandemic. According to a report launched on Tuesday on the sidelines of the ADB meeting, developing Asia will need to invest nearly $14 trillion from 2023 to 2030 to sustain economic growth, reduce poverty, and respond to climate change. That's about $1.7 trillion annually. For ASEAN, the total infrastructure investment needed could amount to as much as $3.1 trillion or $210 billion annually. Singapore's second Finance and National Development Minister Indrani Raja, who's in Incheon for the ADB annual meeting, said raising investor awareness of innovative financing approaches will be key to plugging the financing gap.
The ADB is well placed to facilitate this by connecting infrastructure projects with private, institutional, and development finance players. The ADB Singapore office can be a useful conduit to push the boundaries of private sector partnership in supporting the region's post-pandemic needs.
Also on the sidelines of the ADB meeting, Asian finance ministers and central bank chiefs used the occasion to meet their counterparts after the pandemic disrupted face-to-face interactions for the last 3 years. Among others, the finance ministers of South Korea and Japan had their first meeting in 7 years amid signs of better bilateral relations. The last time the two countries held such a meeting was in 2016, but dialogue was suspended following disputes over wartime history. The Asian Development Bank meeting will be held here in Incheon until Friday, and this is the third annual ADB meeting being held here in South Korea. It hosted the first meeting in 1970 and again in 2004. As the world's 10th largest economy, the host country has pledged to play a bigger role in promoting sustainable growth in the region, especially through ADB's various projects. Lim Yun-suk, CNA, Incheon, South Korea.